Political science professor Lynn Vavreck interprets the U.S.'s changed political landscape and looks forward to some of the major players in 2012.
Is it a national referendum or just an amalgamation of local elections? I think that's a great question, but I don't think that the answer is either one. I think that there was a national swing back to the Republican Party, but I would hesitate to interpret that as broad programmatic support for any single policy or a mandate to do any particular thing, especially related to health care, where if you look at the polling data, one of the things you'll see is that most Americans are supportive of the individual elements of the health care package. But if you ask them about the entire health care package, they don't like it. So there's something about the way that package was framed and the connotation that it has that is really turning people off relative to the goods and changes that it is providing, which people seem supportive of. So if I were the Republicans, I'd hesitate before I interpreted this as a mandate to repeal health care reform, because the individual elements of this are fairly strongly supported. I think it does matter. Again, this is a great example. The shift at the local level is a great example of the national swing or the uniform swing to the right in these elections. And I think those are interesting in light of the redistricting that will come up from the recent census. So every state has its own set of rules about how district lines get drawn based on new census information. But in almost all of them, in some way, the state legislature, the governor's office is involved. And so who sits in those seats really does matter in terms of how congressional districts get drawn and where the representation is going to come from, what set of people are going to be voting for representatives. So those could have very important implications. I think one of the things that's interesting coming out of Tuesday night is this question about the Tea Party and whether this in some way legitimizes the candidacy of Sarah Palin in 2012. So is Sarah Palin a secret winner from Tuesday's election? And my own evidence on this suggests that her popularity is pretty stagnant. She hangs in there at about a 34% popularity rating. In a head-to-head matchup between Barack Obama and Sarah Palin, she'll get about 35% of the vote, but no more than that. And that's been constant over the last year and a half. So I think that she has a ceiling effect, that she's hit that ceiling. Can she go lower than 35%? I think she can. But I've seen very little evidence that many more people than that will come out and support her. So while the candidates she endorsed did really well and the Tea Party itself put a lot of people in Congress, I don't see this as changing the game for her in terms of 2012. I think after Tuesday night, I will keep a close eye on the governor of Texas, a man named Rick Perry, who has been the governor before, is going to be governor again, but has just, to me, shown a lot of indicators that he is a good politician, a good strategist, is very interested in testing his messages. He's cooperated actually with a team of researchers from Yale and the University of Texas to try to figure out if his message actually affected voters. So I think that he is a very interesting person to keep an eye on for the Republicans in 2012. People were pretty quick to point out on Tuesday night that it was a short 15 months to the Iowa caucus. And could Obama recover in time? And the answer to that question is definitely yes. 15 months is a long time in terms of the economic recovery that could happen. And historically speaking, incumbent parties who bring growth in GDP of about 2%, 3 percentage points, get reelected. So if he can bring the growth in these last 2 years, especially the last couple of quarters of his presidency, he'll be sitting in a good situation in terms of reelection. Even if you ask people today about voting, hypothetically, in 2012, against any Republican candidate that you can think of, Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, Sarah Palin, Obama is winning all of those head-to-head matchups in general election polls, general population polls.